everyone, I'm Lauren North, those who don't know me, and I write psychological suspense and thrillers, and I host the In Suspense podcast with the lovely Leslie Cara. I'm here today not for In Suspense, but to talk about Scrivener, which I rave about all the time on In Suspense, and I know there's quite a few people who'd be really keen to have a basics dummies tutorial, which is handy because I'm a massive dummy when it comes to Scrivener myself. I know the absolute basics. Probably I know 10% of what Scrivener is capable of, but that 10% is just absolutely enough for me. I really love it because it helps me organise my scenes really well, and I find that I can jump back and forth really quickly between scenes. I can search for things really easily, and I just find it really speeds up my writing process. It does look really scary to start with. I did have a complete wobble when I first downloaded it, and then I completely scrapped it and I was like, no, I can't go to anything that isn't Word. But if you just give it a bit of time, it will grow on you, hopefully, or it won't, and then you won't use it. So I'm going to talk you through how I set up Scrivener and when I'm going to start writing a new novel, and then I'm going to talk about how you save it and make sure it then compiles into a Word document that you can then email to yourself. You can also compile it to an ebook straight away or a PDF. Again, lots more that I don't do. And then I'm just going to talk you through how, if you're already halfway through a book but you'd like to try Scrivener, I will talk you through how you can change your Word document and bring it over to Scrivener. If you have already downloaded the trial and you want to then continue with it, what will happen is you just buy the license and then it'll ask you for the license number, and you don't have to re-download it. You haven't lost any work. So it's quite simple if you're working on a trial to give it a proper go, and then if you want to go for it, otherwise move it back into Word. Okay, so I'm going to do this on Zoom, doing a shared screen, which I again have never done before, so please bear with me. If you have any Scrivener questions, you can just Google them, and the website Literature and Latte, which is what a Scrivener exists, that is just full of amazing supportive help. There's Facebook groups as well, and you can always ask me, but I may not know the answer, because everything that I know about Scrivener you're about to know too. So I hope this is useful. Do let me know if it is, and enjoy. Right, the first thing you're going to do is open up Scrivener, and then you're going to get this box here. And there's lots of different ways you can write. I don't know what any of it means and what the differences are, but I just click fiction. Down here, it's going to ask you what you're going to save it as. So I'm going to call it Red Riding Hood 2. And down here is where to save it. So if you just set this all up now, Scrivener will remember and it will always save it to that location. I'm sorry if you can hear something printing. I'm printing page proofs, but it's going to stop in a second. So you press create, and then you get this screen here, which is a bit of a scary screen. There's lots of information in here. I have never read it, so I don't know what any of it means. But what you've got here is, this is the start of your novel, this bit here. Look, there's lots of things here. So there's characters, you can add some photos, you can add locations. So there's loads of quite interesting things here. But what you want to have here is your novel, really, so that's what we're looking at. So this, even though it's called chapter, this is actually what I refer to as the book, so I'm going to call it Red Riding Hood. And then here you've got all your scenes for Red Riding Hood. So if we add a few extra scenes, these are all just these are chapters basically where you're going to write. Now it's just moved over, let me do that. So what you want to do when you first start your novel is to add a few planning sessions. So here we've got the cork board here. So this is that symbol here. So this button here goes back to the writing. So you've got all your different scenes. And this button here takes you to the cork board. So what we've got here in the cork board is all your different screens. So it's just like little notebooks, notes that you add onto a cork board or a whiteboard. So what we want to do is start filling this up with information so we know what we're writing. So the first one we're going to call Mum Asks Red to Go See Grandma. And then what we can do here is if we click on this bit here, And as you double click on this bit here, you can then fill it with information. So you might want to say like a hot day. So all these different things you can add, and they're just notes to remember what you want in that scene. So scene 2, we're going to call it woodcutter intro, and we'll say, we're going to double click here and say woodcutter having a bad day. And then here we'll have wolf is hungry. So we're going to have 3 points of view in our story, and I'll show you why I'm going to show you 3 points of view. And then we'll have here red goes into the woods. So we've got so far 4 different scenes and 3 different characters. Now the great thing about Scrivener is you can now see these scenes being filled down here with information. So what we want to do is color coordinate them, because then anytime you come to look at how many scenes you've got with Red Riding Hood versus the woodcutter, is going to be really obvious to see up here. So what we want to do is we're going to go right click, and you get down here label. So I'm going to edit this and I'm going to have red for Red Riding Hood. So what I've just done there, sorry, I'm not very good at this, at explaining things. I've just double clicked on the label and then you can change what it's called. So green, I'm going to double click and delete that, and I'm going to call him the woodcutter. And then blue, we'll call the wolf. Now we've got our different labels. We can then label, and then we're going to choose Red Riding Hood. The woodcutter is going to be green, the wolf is going to be blue, and red's going to be red. There we go. So now we've got these different labels, and you can see them here. There's obviously little colours there, which aren't, I find that not very great to look at. I much prefer the colours to be down this side in the binder. But as you can see, they haven't transferred, but that's dead easy to fix. You just go up to edit. Oh no, I lie. You just go up to view, and then you say use label color in binders. And there we go. Look at these beautiful colors coming here. So the more you plan your book out, the more colors you get. And that's pretty much where we get to. Now, the other thing you want to do, so you want to start writing. Here we go. We're going to call it chapter 1. Chapter 1. Now, the problem is it's come up with Arial, bold, 10, and it's only got 1 space between them. So that is not how I want to write my book. And every time I go to a new scene, it's going to have the same up here. So what I want to do is I want to tell Scrivener that every chapter, every scene has to have Times New Roman, not bold, and size 12 and 2 spaces apart. So the best way to do that, instead of doing that in every single scene, is you just tell it up in here. So you go tools and options, and then you click on this one here, editor. And here you have what the font is. So here's the font button here, the A. You click on that, it's got Arial. So I'm going to type T on my keyboard to go down to Times New Roman. I just want normal, and I want it to be 12. I'm going to click OK. And here, up here, it's going to say the spacing. I want 2 spaces apart. So you click apply, and then as you can see, it's now got Times New Roman here. If you've already typed something in, it's going to remember what you typed in. So then you do have to go Times New Roman here and just go back to normal, 12 and 2, and then it will remember that for this scene. Right, so that's all we do here. The next thing I'm going to talk to you about, which I absolutely love, is this button here. It's called Project Targets, but on your screen, you're not going to have it in this toolbar, and I'm going to show you how to do that. But so you go Project, and it's there, Project Targets. And here you set what you think your whole manuscript will be. So I'm going to say mine's 70,000 words. And as you can see, I've not written anything. I've only written 2 words. So it comes up. But what's great is the more you write, it then comes up with sort of orange and then green as you go along. And then, but here you can type in what you want your session target to be. So every time you write, I'm going to write 1,000 words. So here we go. So this is what I still have to write. And that's great. And then that just means as you are writing, this is me writing. Obviously I could have touch type an actual conversation. I've got 6 words here, so it's just gonna progress as you go along. The first thing we're going to do then is we want to get this toolbar here. So you go tools, customize toolbar, and then you can put anything you want in the toolbar. So so the main toolbar, this is the format toolbar, is something else entirely that I don't know what it is. So you want to look at, this is the main toolbar up here. You want to go main toolbar. Now, as you can see, I've already put project targets in there, but if I didn't want it, I could just move it back over here, but I do want it because I love it so much. And so you can move it a bit across. I find this quite useful. So that's fine. I've moved it there instead. This button here is great because it adds a new scene. So look, I need to add a new scene in before the woodcutter. We meet the woodcutter. So this one's going to be Red angry about trip to wood. So I can just type it there, or I can type it in the binder. And then I just click on it here and right click, label Red Riding Hood. So you can do it this way, or you can do it in your corkboard as well. So that's great. If this is annoying you, the binder, while you're writing, you can just hide the binder. So view, you can just go view layout, unclick binder, and then you've just got your documents. I personally absolutely love it. So I'm going to put it straight back because I find it very strange to look at without view layout binder. There it is back again. So what I do as well is I create, so these are all the scenes, but what you can have is these folders. As you can see, all the scenes are in this folder here, which I've called Red Riding Hood. This is my book. What I'm going to do is I'm going to right click down here and I'm going to add a new folder, and I'm going to call this cuts. Now, every time I write something that I actually didn't like that scene, so let's say grandma is ill, but I've written the scene, I don't really like it, I'm going to move it down into cuts, and then it's still there if I want it back again. And then another thing I do is I queue another folder. So let's add another folder, and I'm going to do remember for later. And then I'm going to add some little, by pressing this button, I'm going to add some scenes here for remember for later. So I want to remind myself for later, grandma has a cat. And I might then put the scene in here of grandma's cat, and then when I come to writing it up here, I can just copy and paste it in. And so that's just how personally I do it. Now, the compile button up here, this is this button here. This is how you save it, and this is how you put it into Word. So you want to go compile. This doesn't tell you much at all, so you want to press this button here, this arrow, and then we're going to get this thing here, which is great. Now, what we want to tell it is a few things here. We want to tell Scrivener that when we put it into Word, so first of all, we're going to compile it into a Word document. So I'm going to say Word document. And the first thing I want it to say is every time there's a new scene, I want a page break. So just like it would if I was in Word in a chapter. So I've clicked on one, it's not highlighted all, but if I press Alt and then click on one, it clicks on all of them. Now, the next thing I want to tell it is not to try and do anything silly, because Scrivener tries to be smarter than me, and that's fine. But I want my Word document to look exactly like my Scrivener document. So I'm going to click as is as well. But now I also need to go into transformations, because for some random reason, and I don't know why, Scrivener is set up to change anything that's in italics to underline. So I'm going to unclick that box because I don't want anything I put in italics to be underlined. I don't want my straight and smart quotes. I like my quotes as they are. You can convert an M dashes to double hyphens. I don't want that. Convert ellipses to triple period. I don't want that. And then I just then go back here to content. So here we are. So what you can do is if you only want to read the woodcutters chapters, you could obviously then just include the woodcutters chapter in your compiling, and then put it straight into an EPUB book and send it straight to your Kindle if you wanted to. Personally, I always put everything in Word and then move it over, and I don't know why. Probably it's not the quickest way to do it. Right, and then I'm going to go, I can either go save and close, or I can actually go compile, and then it's going to show me where to save it. So I'm going to go documents and just save it. Here, Red Riding Hood, Word. And then that's great if I go into my documents. Sorry, my documents is really messy, so don't judge me for having really messy things. But hopefully if I go down here, Red Riding Hood word, there it is. If I double click on that and load it up, obviously I've not written anything, but there's my chapter 1 exactly as it should be there. So that's really important for how you save your work and compile it, because no one's going to want to read your Scrivener work. And so when you come to print it, you can either put it into Word first, or you can print it straight from Scrivener by just going File, Print. And it says print current document. What that does, it just prints the current chapter. I'm just trying to think what else you might need. I mean, all this stuff up here is pretty standard stuff. That's a highlighter. So if I want that in orange or yellow to remember something later, I click on that button there. I can't think of anything else that I do specifically before I start writing. Obviously, I'm a massive planner, so this to me becomes a full screen all the way down with all the different scenes, and then I can just on my way to write. And as you can see, look, I'm already too top heavy on Red Riding Hood chapters, so I already know from just looking here that I need to think about adding some more Wolfen and some more woodcutter. But obviously it's up to you what kind of book you're writing and what perspectives, but you could have red is present and green is past. It's completely up to you how you do it. Now this button here might be important to you, it isn't to me. This button here is mobile sync. So you can get Scrivener on your mobile phone or your iPad. And if you press OK, you can it will then sync to all your different versions. So you've got the most up-to-date version on all of your phone and mobiles and whatnot. I just use it on my laptop, so I've never touched that button. I don't know what any of these other buttons do. They might be important, but I don't know. Another great thing is if I was to type, this is a bit difficult to show you because I've not got any words in, but if I want to find the word chapter, so you can obviously type in anything here, but obviously I've only written chapter, then it's going to just show me everywhere in my document where I've got the word chapter. So this is quite a great way to sort of, if you're trying to find a name or someone and you want to change their name, so you can do find and replace exactly the same way as well with in here. So I find and replace. So to do find and replace, because you've realized that Bob needs to be John, just go find here, and then find and replace, exactly the same as Word there. Okay, and the final thing I'm going to show you is if you've got a Word document already and you're halfway through, or you've written a few chapters and you don't want to like copy and paste and move it over, go up here, go File, and then you go Import from Files. Let's have a little look. And then if I just type in, this is an old version of my romance, import files. Please note that text files that are imported will be converted to RTF editing. That's fine. Okay, you can do that. And then it's going to import all of my book there. But what you can do when you import it is import and split. So what you can do is separate out the chapters with a hashtag, and then when you then import it, it will remember that, and then you'll get them all in scenes like that. So I don't actually do that because I always start all my books in Scrivener, but there you are. So there we go. So another great thing you can do is if you want to move your scenes around, you can do it by 2 ways. And this is what's great. So I realized that the wolf is hungry is a really exciting scene. I'm going to move that to the front. So I'm going to put that there. There we go. And then if I don't want to do it here, I want to just do it here, I'm going to move the woodcutter up. I just click on it and drag it up here. There we go. And there it's there instead. And that is literally everything I can think of to teach you. I hope it's been useful. Do look at some proper tutorials and let me know if there's anything else I should be doing differently. So that was everything that I could think of to teach you. As you can see, it really isn't very much, but just by setting it up in that way, it really just makes using Scrivener a lot easier. And that's it. So goodbye, everyone. Thanks for watching. Bye.